Hello there everyone. It is morning time in my garden and I'm just really out here checking on all of my plants, really enjoying the view, getting to witness some of my wonderful plants, especially all of my flowers that are now just coming into bloom. Definitely enjoying the view here. But one of the reasons why I really came out here so early in the morning is to basically check on two of my rescue orchids that I just recently purchased here. And the two orchids that I purchased from Lowe's as my rescue orchids are the Epidendrium maybelcanda and also a form of encyclia. And I'll talk a little bit more about them later, but again, these are my rescue orchids. I was able to purchase them for $5 each, which really, in the condition that they're in now, I don't even know if they're worth that. But I will say that, again, I purchased them at Lowe's, so therefore they have a 1-year warranty that if the plant dies within a year's time, they will refund your money, so I really don't lose out on anything. And some of you guys may be wondering, why would I even take that chance, knowing that the orchids are in such awful condition? Well, to be honest with you folks, I take that chance because, growing orchids is a trial and error process. And I believe the more that you know about the orchid, the better capable you are of handling whatever conditions come your way, in the regards that sometimes your orchids can become sick for whatever the reason, and you really have to know exactly what to do in those cases. So again, with the trial and error of purchasing this orchid, if you're capable of nursing an orchid back to health, I mean, spending the time, giving it what it needs, and learning exactly what to do, and learning different procedures and what works and what doesn't. And so that's basically the reason why I like to take on rescue orchid projects, because I learn so much. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the orchid and find out exactly what condition they are in. This plant right here is in this condition because it was really dehydrated. It was not given water for I don't know how long. And as you can see, there's a whole bunch of dead canes here that really just couldn't survive any longer because of the lack of water. So my first step was to get it out of its pot. Now, as you guys can see, I haven't really messed with the roots too much, haven't taken any medium out of here at all. That is not my concern right now. I don't want to irritate any of the roots. I'm not here to frustrate it or stress it out any further. My main objective right now, being that this plant is so dehydrated, is of course getting them into water as soon as possible. So that's what I've done, and I've actually even submerged the foliage, allowing it to get water even through its leaves. So that is one of my first steps. Now, what gives me hope with this one in particular, this encyclia, is the fact, if you look closely right here, this is showing the start of a new growth. And also, if we look on the other side as well, you're seeing two nubbins right here that show two more new growth nubs. So this shows that it should grow, if we can get it back to good health, 3 new growths. So definitely this has a good chance. Fingers crossed on it, folks. You see what awful condition it looks like right now. I did see some roots here that have sustained itself and are alive and well. And if we take a closer look, 1 new growth right there, and also 1 new growth right here coming up. So that's actually 3 new growths for this one bulb. So that gave me hope that this has a possible chance of surviving. Now, as you can look at the cane, you see how wrinkled it is, and you see that it's actually blackened here. It's just really becoming burnt out because of the lack of water. So what I've been doing with these orchids since I purchased them yesterday is I've allowed them to be submerged in water overnight. And in the early morning hours, I went ahead and took both of these outdoors just to give them more of a natural climate, more cooler climate out here with some humidity and some breeze. And also I wanted them to get some sunlight. Now of course I don't want them to get too much sunlight. They can't handle it right now. They're very fragile and very weak. So I'm just going to allow them to get a very faint sunlight, because as you guys know, sunlight is one of the best source of energy for plants. So I definitely want them to get a good source of energy. And as soon as it gets brighter though, I'm going to bring them indoors and keep them in cooler temperatures with a lot more shade. And another thing that I really want to focus on is the foliage of this rescue orchid. And I want to note that some of the foliage really shows that stress, really shows the wrinkling. You're also seeing discoloration throughout. In some areas it's a little bit lighter and you see crinkles, and in some areas you're definitely noting a darkened splotches where it appears to be bruised. And this is just showing you that the plant is really in bad shape. Now, one thing that I do want to note is that no matter what condition the foliage is, just as long as it's alive, it doesn't matter if it's partly burned, it has splotches, creases, wilting, crinkling. If it has green in it, I would strongly suggest that you leave it as is. Do not cut the leaves from your rescue orchid. And the reason why I say this is the actual foliage of the plant is the primary source that it has to absorb the light that it needs to replenish its energy. So definitely the foliage plays an important part into how fast and how well this plant can recover. So just as long as the leaves are alive, it has a purpose. So definitely I would strongly suggest do not cut the foliage of the plant. Allow it to remain there and help the plant to bounce back. And what I'll do with these folks for about a week, I'll allow this to soak in water for about an hour at a time. And I'll allow it to soak about like 2 to 3 times a day. And I'm going to do this for a whole week. And after that week, I'm going to go ahead and put it in its potting medium. And then I'm going to introduce it to the outdoors in the regards of getting it acclimated to the conditions outside. And I would say it'll take about a week to get it reintroduced back into its natural conditions outdoors. Now, of course, I will allow it to sit in shade for the most part, allowing it to slowly get acclimated back into very bright conditions. So nice and slow, folks. And that's really going to be my method and my strategy for these 2 encyclias right here. And it's worked before with my cattleyas and also my maxillaria tenuifolia. That's basically what I did with those guys. And so this is also the method that I'm going to be using with these. Fingers crossed, and we'll see how it works. Okay folks, so here I am. This is day 3 of nurturing my rescue encyclias back to health. And I've kind of decided to change the course of action here. And the reason why I decided to change my course of action is because the prognosis is actually better than I thought it was. Now, what I decided to do was go ahead and take away a lot of the dead canes and also the dead roots. Now, I didn't take them all off because I definitely wanted to let some of the roots remain where it could stabilize itself in the pot. And again, I removed majority of the dead roots, so it's not going to cause great harm for me to keep those roots in there. And also with this other one, I did the same thing, removing majority of the dead roots. And again, leaving some just to give the plant balance in the pot, because I'm going to go ahead and repot these. And as you can see, I did leave this cane right here. It's all dried out. And I decided to leave it because this bulb right here was so strongly intertwined in this, even with its little roots that it had left. And I just didn't want to damage the little roots that it had, so I opted to leave this dead cane right here. And again, it's all dried up, so it doesn't have a strong chance of rotting out. So this is now day 3, and I'm very happy to announce that now the cane is very, very firm. Now it's no longer mushy, and it definitely has a consistency in its cane, so I don't believe that it needs to be soaked any further, and it's ready to be repotted. So I'm making that ultimate decision. Very firm, very sturdy. Making that ultimate decision to go ahead and put them in its pot, and then I'm definitely going to keep this in a bright shady area so that it can recover, and I want it to have its natural environment, good air circulation, and definitely the nice breeze and temperatures of the outdoors. So I think it's very important to go ahead and do that. And as you can see, the foliage on here is very, very green. Of course, still wilted, but that's okay. That's going to bounce back. And I think it's ready to go. So that's what we're going to do. And this right here, folks, is the medium of choice. We have some bark, some coal, some perlite in here, but majority of this is sphagnum moss, and I really cut them down to a fine size. So therefore it's spread and mixed evenly. And I put more sphagnum moss than I usually do, for the simple fact that we're going to treat these 2 rescue orchids just as if they were seedlings, because they need extra attention, extra moisture. Okay, folks, and here they both are, my rescue encyclias that have been just repotted. And the medium, of course, again, it is mostly sphagnum moss, also some bark, perlite, and some coal. And what I'm going to be doing with these is keeping a very close eye on the pot medium and also the watering. Definitely going to keep this medium moist at all times, but I am not going to overly drench them to the point where it could cause some possible rotting fungus or mildew to grow in there. So definitely moist, but not drenched. Also, folks, another important thing is to make sure that they still receive good light, but do not allow them to become overheated. Again, they are very, very weak, so they cannot stand what a normal plant would be capable of standing. They can't stand too much light. They can't stand for their medium to go completely dry at this point. So as of right now, we are treating them much like seedlings, to the point that we are keeping a close eye and making sure that they get just enough, but not overly, of anything. So although this appears to be a long road to recovery, with the right attention, love, and care, we can definitely make it happen, and will make it happen. So as of right now, it has been joined with the rest of the Encyclia family. This is one that I recently just purchased, and this is the Encyclia tempensis, which is also known to grow naturally in Florida. So very happy about that, because as you guys know, I am in Florida. Also, of course, my Encyclia cordagira, and with her infamous blooms right there. So as you guys can see, I have become an Encyclia fan, definitely, and this is my start of my Encyclia collection.
So definitely guys, please stay tuned for more.